Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please make sure to subscribe and hit that like button below so I know what type of videos you guys like, and also to support my channel so that I can continue making videos. So today what we're talking about is New York City. If you follow me on Instagram, that's where I post pretty often, and that is where you'd be able to keep up with me best. I have recently moved to New York City. I graduated from college in May, and now I am here. It is October. And I've been here for, let's see, about 2 weeks. 2 weeks and a few days, and I am absolutely loving it. I am loving New York more than I even thought I could love it, and I was kind of worried that something was going to go wrong. I'd feel lonely or I wouldn't like it here, but it has exceeded my expectations. Something I have realized is I did a lot of research before moving to New York. I watched a lot of people's videos, and I figured it would be super helpful if I kind of made a sit-down video so I could kind of explain my experience with moving to New York and kind of finding an apartment. So anyways, that's what we're gonna do today, and I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get right into it. So when I was looking for apartments, I actually started looking 6 months before I had to move in. The market is so fast in New York, and what that means is there's so much competition for each apartment. And so a lot of times you'll have multiple people applying to apartments instead of just 1 or 2. There could be like 5 or 6 people applying, and so you really have to make sure you have a strong application. But for me, looking 6 months before was kind of dumb because no broker or person or manager or super would let me even look at the apartment. I went to New York, I want to say about 2 months before I moved in, and I called some places, said, hey, can I come look at the apartment? And they literally laughed in my face, which is not fun, but I didn't realize that you really have to start looking maybe a month before you decide to move, or realistically 2 weeks before you move in, which is such a short time, and it was something I was not used to, but that's just the way it is. And so I would definitely say go ahead and research, but don't expect to get to see any apartments until you're actually about 2 weeks out from your move-in date. Also, broker's fees. Now this is something I didn't realize before I moved here. A lot of my friends told me about it, but there are a few different sites like Street Easy where you don't have to pay a broker's fee. Now what a broker's fee is you're paying a broker to kind of help you find an apartment, and it could go in so many different ways. I had to pay a small broker's fee, which I didn't want to do, but that's just the way this apartment worked out, and I love this apartment. But the reason people pay broker's fees, it's about 12 to 15%, and sometimes you can get it down to about 10%. But they do that because you're essentially going through a company, and they're kind of helping you find your apartment and find a bunch of different ones, and it makes it a lot easier on you instead of having to find everything yourself. I did find a lot of the apartments myself, and I actually found this one by myself, but sadly it did have a broker's fee, but I got a good deal on it. So I would definitely say if you want to stay away from broker's fees, because that can be a lot of money. It's about 12 to 15% of your annual rent. And so that can be even more than your monthly rent. It's a lot of money. And so if you don't want to do that, you can go to Street Easy, which is a site specifically for New York, where you can click no broker's fee and you don't have to worry about that. It's just a no-fee apartment. You can just pay what you're supposed to pay and not worry about any extra charges. Naked apartments, it's something I found online specifically for New York apartments. That was super helpful, as well as Zillow. Zillow can be kind of tricky because they might be a little bit more expensive, but Zillow was definitely very helpful because it's a bit more mainstream, and they have a really great site, so you can kind of see the map, see exactly where you want to move, and kind of look in that area. Now, speaking of neighborhoods, definitely my biggest advice would be to pick a neighborhood before you start looking at apartments. I started looking at apartments all over New York because I just kind of wanted to be here, and I didn't really know where I wanted to live, which was kind of a mistake because then, I mean, there are thousands of apartments to move into, and it was just very overwhelming. So I would definitely say look at neighborhoods that you really enjoy, and before choosing one from what you see online or what people say, really go to that area. I'm really big on feelings and how the vibe is in that neighborhood, what's in that neighborhood, and I realized that I really did not like the Upper East Side. It was something that I didn't like. I looked at a few apartments and I didn't like the vibe, and I didn't like any of the like grocery stores or anything around there, and I wanted to live in New York, but I also wanted to create a life here, and so it just wasn't my cup of tea. I really liked downtown, but it was a little bit busier, not quite as quiet as I wanted it. And then I came to the Upper West Side, and it was everything I was looking for, and I luckily found this amazing apartment that I love so much that I will be doing a room tour on very, very soon, hopefully within the next week and a half. So yeah, I realized I really liked the Upper West Side, and so it kind of made it easier because I only looked at apartments on the Upper West Side, and I kind of made that guideline for where I was looking, you know. And so when you do that, it's just so much easier. I would say when you're looking at apartments, be very, very strict with your budget. I was like, well, maybe I'll just put this in just to see what there is. But then obviously I would get upset because it was $5,000 a month for an apartment. It was absolutely ridiculous. We know that New York is expensive, but that is crazy, and that is something that I was just not able to do. But I kind of tortured myself by looking at those apartments. So just don't do it. That is a big piece of advice. Do not look at apartments that are more expensive than you are willing to pay, because it will just make you depressed and it just makes everything more complicated. So really shoot low on budget and have a tiny bit of wiggle room, because you're gonna want that, but at the same time, like, be realistic. Also put kind of like what are your deal breakers. So for me, sorry, that's my phone. For me, a deal breaker was definitely the 1 bedroom. I was open to a studio, but really I wanted 2 separate rooms. I wanted a place that I could come, especially because I work from home a lot of the time. So I didn't want a small isolated place make me feel lonely. So that was something that was very important to me. As well as like a good kitchen. Like, there's not really good sized kitchens in New York. I got really lucky. I have like a little kitchen cove, but I really love cooking, and so I wanted an area where it could just be like the kitchen or like a little breakfast table where I could sit, do some work. So those were 2 very, very important things to me. So whenever there was an apartment that didn't have either, I said, nope, I'm not even gonna look at this apartment, because like I said, it just makes it too complicated, and you wanna try to make it as easy as possible when you're moving here, because you don't want to have to worry about stuff that you shouldn't have to worry about in the first place. Something specific to me that I think is very helpful is I actually love interior decorating, and so before I even found an apartment, I was trying to decorate my apartment with different types of furniture and styles, and that was actually very stressful for me, because I realized through the help of some friends and my therapist that it was stupid to try to decorate an apartment that you don't have yet. So don't worry about that until you really have to worry about it. Once you know what apartment you're in, then you can start decorating, but that is just a stress that you don't want to have to worry about. Just don't worry about it. Just find a good apartment, and you can always make it look nice. And I'll try to be coming out with some videos, hopefully, to kind of show you how I've decorated my apartment and some kind of tips and tricks, because I definitely think decorating on a budget is super important, and I've gotten really, really good at it. Because I've moved a lot, and so hopefully I can share some of those tips, but that was super important. Do not decorate your apartment before you have one. There are many things I could say and a lot of tips I could give you, but the most important thing I think in terms of advice that I could give you is be patient with yourself and just have realistic expectations. New York City is an amazing place. I'm so happy to live here. I've never been happier in my entire life. But it's hard. I mean, it is very hard to change your completely change your lifestyle from going to a house to a small apartment. It is very expensive to live in New York City, no matter where you live. But for me, it's worth it. So really, really think about that. It's not about what apartment you're in. It's not about how your apartment is decorated. It's about being in New York and being happy. So as long as you're happy, that's all that really matters. If you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them. Please put them in the comment section below. If you don't want to put them in there, then you can go ahead and DM me on Instagram. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow me, because I post way more often to Instagram. I don't post to YouTube a lot just because I'm very busy and there's a lot going on, but I definitely wanted to share this video with you guys. My Instagram is @HannahRoseHunt, and if you are following my photo Instagram, thank you so much. That one is @style_shutter. That is where you can find all of my photography and all of my creative pursuits. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you guys are doing amazing. I am so happy to be here in New York City, and for everyone who has supported me and really cheered me on and who is watching this video, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.